Я хочу всім нагадати нашу мету і чого ми тут стоїмо сьогодні і будемо марширувати по Лондону. Війна в Україні не закінчилася. І зараз ми маємо дітей без батьків, батьків без дітей. І ми всі маємо зробити свій внесок у нашу перемогу. Я вас дуже прошу, будь ласка, донатьте, щоб підтримати Україну. Біля вас стоять наші волонтери в зелених жилетках, які мають відра. Ви можете зробити донат таким чином. Також ми маємо QR-коди скрізь. Будь ласка, донатьте, бо без донатів нема допомоги, а без допомоги нема перемоги. Слава Україні! I would like to please let everyone know that we've got our volunteers wearing green vests all around here today with buckets where you can make a cash donation. And we also have QR codes dotted all around if you'd like to make a donation this way. Please, because without your donations, there is no help for Ukraine. And with no help for Ukraine, there is no victory. Thank you very much. Slava Ukraini! I would now like to invite to stage John Parker, who's a great supporter of Ukraine, and he's going to say a few words to us all. Thank you.
Дуже дякую, дуже дякую. Мене звати Джон Паркер, я засновник гуманітарної організації John's Red Bus. Я хотів би подякувати Наталія і Support Ukraine за запрошення на таку фантастичну подію. So my name's John Parker, it's a bit easier for me in English. My name's John Parker, I'm founder of humanitarian organisation John's Red Bus. I'd like to thank Natalia and Support Ukraine for this absolute honour to be stood here today and speaking to you, for the invitation. When Crimea was invaded over 10 years ago, Natalia and her team, they rallied for 100 days and 100 nights. We must remember this is when the war began, in 2014, not 2022. So can I have a round of applause for Support Ukraine? Bravo! So here we are on Vyshyvanka March. I had the pleasure of being here 1 year ago with my friends here today and volunteers, and it's an absolute privilege to be here again. I had the privilege also of being in Ukraine recently on the 16th of May when it was actually Vyshyvanka Day, and it was a beautiful sight to behold. There was many people dressed in Vyshyvanka on the streets. I would go into stores and petrol stations and I would say to them, Vyshyvanki. And it's an important thing to remember this culture of Ukraine. It's important for their identity. And it dates back to the early 20th century when Ukraine was fighting for its political rights. It's not a recent thing, Vyshyvanka. So it's important we embrace this tradition. Here I am today wearing Army Vyshyvanka, and this tells a bit of a story about me and my organization and how we've helped the defenders of Ukraine, because as these great speakers here have said, it's the defenders, if they fall, Ukraine falls. It's as simple as that. So we must remember that. And my organization has helped the military a lot, and I'm not afraid to say that. I'll go through some of the badges I have here on my Vyshyvanka. This first one here is Slava Nazi. We know this, glory to the nation. followed by Pizdец Российской Федерации. We know what that means. Exactly. This here is an army battalion, as is this paratrooper regiment. We're visited near the front line, so we don't just go to the border. We travel deep into near the front lines, first line of defense at military bases, providing them with pickups. Avdiivka. If you know what's happening in Ukraine, you know how dangerous that region is. This here is an animal organisation. So at John's Red Bus, we love animals. I've got my little dog, Rocco, little Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and he travels to Ukraine many times. Everyone loves him out there. So we love animals. We supply much animal aid to Ukraine, and also transportation as well, to reunite animals with their owners who have had to flee all over Europe and Ukraine. So we can do that. So I'd like to give perhaps a slightly different perspective to some of these great speakers here today, and that is me being Polish blood. So, ja jestem z Polski. My dad was Polish, my mum half Polish, half Italian. So I'll tell you the story of my grandfather in the Second World War. It'll be a brief story. His family was torn apart when the Second World War struck, and his family was torn apart. He was rescued by the Red Cross and sent to Africa to a child refugee camp. And it's the parallels that we hear today from these great speakers and the tragedy that's happening in Ukraine that resonates with what Poland went through. Mariupol, Bakhmut, and more recently Vovchansk, a battle against corruption and communism. Maybe Ukraine doesn't fight communism, but it fights corruption to this day, and this is an internal war that Ukraine is fighting. And we must stand side by side with them to help battle this. I see Ukraine's future taking the same path, so we must remain united with this. Also, my perspective is that of having travelled 25 times to Ukraine, and maybe seeing things perhaps that aren't on the news, that aren't spoken widely in foreign countries. One thing that surprised me was language. Something so simple as language. I assumed before going to Ukraine, everyone in Ukraine spoke Ukrainian. And unfortunately, it's not the case. Even now, even people choose to speak Russian. And for me, this is a big problem. This is another internal battle which Ukraine is facing, and we must remain united with them. In the West, yeah, they speak Ukrainian. Central Ukraine, they speak Surzik, which is a mix of the two. It's an unofficial language. And in the East, I've delivered aid to people my age. I'm only 40 years old, and they have to Google Translate what it is in Ukrainian. So that surprised me, and that's an internal battle that Ukraine must face. But it should not discourage us from helping them. It should encourage us to do more, because it definitely does that with me. So.
червоніє чоботе, чоботе, Косівської роботи, роботи, а у Косові роблене, роблене, а у Львові ношене, ношене. Дякую. Слава Україні!
We're talking about like